you've heard of Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, but have you heard of the latest installment from President Donald Trump, The Art of the President of the United States? That is what we are breaking down here for you tonight. Now, I have to tell you, when I was looking at this and you look at all the angles and you look at some of the tactics that Trump has taken, some of the things he's tweeted, some of the things he's said, the timing of it all, and then you break it all down from a broader perspective, it really is something to behold, folks. Donald Trump truly does play 6D chess. Let's get into the art of the President of the United States. Let's start with the rigged election. Now, if you recall, when Donald Trump was campaigning to be the President of the United States, he kept saying the election is going to be rigged. You get a rigged election. I'm worried it's going to be rigged, elections, rigged. He kept saying that at his rallies, getting that rhetoric into the mainstream. So then that rhetoric goes into the mainstream, and you have the Democrats that are actually trying to rig elections. This is a historic thing, specifically with dead voters, illegal voters, and we'll get to that in a second. But it took another interesting twist, and this is where the 6D chess comes into play. You see, when Donald Trump kept saying he was afraid that the election was going to be rigged when he was campaigning, what he did was he pigeonholed Barack Obama and the Russian narrative that they wanted to either bury or use against President Trump. So he had them in a corner. So after Donald Trump says the elections were rigged, I'm worried they're going to be rigged, now all of a sudden Barack Obama is in a hot seat. And the Washington Post prints this story, Obama's secret struggle to punish Russia for Putin's election assault. So this is what happens. Washington Post puts out this 30-page, basically nothing burger of a fake news story, trying to imply that President Obama was pressured into putting away this Russian election because he didn't want it to hurt Hillary Clinton. You can keep that graphic rolling, folks. This graphic right here, this is exactly what happened to Barack Obama with this Washington Post story. So they try to say, well, he didn't want to, get involved with the election by coming out and making some announcement about Russian hacking. But really, he didn't want to vindicate Donald Trump saying the elections were rigged. So now Donald Trump, by saying the elections were rigged in his campaigns, beats Barack Obama into burying any Russian narrative or Russian hacking narrative, or as the Washington Post says, he didn't want to get involved with the election at that point. So Obama does nothing. And now, on the other side of this, now the left is mad at Obama, the Democrats are mad at Obama, but the overarching question is, if they grilled Comey, if they grilled Sessions, if they grilled Jay Johnson, if they grilled Mike Rogers, they grilled all these people about the Russian collusion narrative, grilled all these people about what's been going on with Russia, thinking about looking at Donald Trump for obstruction of justice. Well, now don't they have to do the same for Barack Obama? What reason would you have then to say that Barack Obama didn't obstruct justice in this Russian collusion, Russian hacking narrative? If the Russian hacking is as big of a deal and the Democrats are as worried or want to get down to the truth of the Russian hacking as they have pretended to when it was involving Donald Trump, why wouldn't they have that same urgency to go after Barack Obama? Why wouldn't Barack Obama be put on the stand? So there you go. Now, again, President Trump tweets out, bombshell in 2016, Obama dismissed idea that anyone could rig an American election. Again, so Trump has beat Obama at both angles. First, he beats him on the rigged election, saying it's rigged. Obama can't come out and say the Russian hacking thing because that would validate President Trump. Then President Obama and the rest of the left establishment says Russia meddling, Russia influencing, Russia hacking. And so then Donald Trump comes out shiny on the other side and says, wait a second, you're the one that said the election couldn't be rigged. So there's his 6D chess destroying Barack Obama. And now, in my opinion, puts Barack Obama in the hot seat, literally to be testified about why he would obstruct justice and not bring up the Russian hacking narrative back then. And so then the Washington Post prints that story and literally craps all over Barack Obama. But then Trump gets proven right in spades again. Study supports 5.7 million non-citizens may have cast illegal votes. Boom, Trump was right anyway. The elections were rigged. Democrats have been doing it for years. Here's another one. Students sentenced to prison for registering dead people to vote. Now, these are just two stories. Democrats rigging elections, specifically with the group Acorn, has been going on for a long time. So that's how Donald Trump plays 6D chess with the rigged elections comment, and then coming out on the other side golden with Barack Obama totally pigeonholed. Now, let's move on to the next. Let's talk about the tapes tweet. Donald Trump comes out and tweets, James Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. Wow. And so then what happens? Comey leaks to the press and then admits it. So Trump tweets that out, pressures Comey, gets him sweating, gets him thinking, makes him testify the truth under oath, and says, I was the linker. And then, not only does that force Comey to admit he was the leaker, then Comey also gets caught in his own tracks twice and may have even committed perjury. New York Times debunked. Trump didn't directly order Flynn to Trump didn't directly order end of Flynn investigation. And then it goes on to show how Comey changed his stance in his two testimonies. But also you have to consider the tweet where Trump says, I hope he thinks about tapes before he starts leaking. And then Comey says he leaked because of that tweet. So now a tweet has pigeonholed Comey. It's unbelievable. This is 6D chess genius. And so then Trump comes out again completely victorious, and says, well, I already beat Comey. I don't know if there's tapes. Maybe there are tapes. The cell phones are recording everything. We're in the White House. Everybody's spying on me. So there might be tapes, but I don't have any tapes. So Trump looking glorious again. And then you have Keith Olbermann, who is just a little bit lower than the crap that was in the wheelbarrow that fell on Obama there, saying, you are the leaker, Trump, you stupid, pea-brained MF traitor, resign. If you could be more than 100% wrong, you would be Keith Olbermann. But you can't be, so Keith Olbermann, sorry, 100% wrong as normal. But it goes on. Then what Comey said in his testimony about Lynch has now pigeonholed Lynch. So the tapes tweet pigeonholes Comey and now has Lynch possibly going to jail. Now Judge Politano says former Attorney General Loretta Lynch could face 5 to 10 years in prison for her handling of the Clinton email investigation and the communication between Debbie Wasserman Schultz and everything she did on the tarmac. That's Loretta Lynch. How about that? How about that? And then this is just a beautiful tweet that describes the whole thing. What started as an investigation into Trump-Russia collusion has now turned into an investigation into Loretta Lynch. If you guys can just view that media, just click that button right there to show the people the image that we're talking about here. No, it's all good. There it is. That's right. So again, what started as an investigation into Trump-Russia collusion now looks like people are looking at Comey and Loretta Lynch and their handling of justice. Master 6D chess from Donald Trump. Now let's move on to the Ninth Circuit Court. So he tweets out, this is after the Ninth Circuit Court. There's other circuit courts, Democrat appointees that are blocking the travel ban, blocking the sanctuary cities. So Trump says, fine, you're going to block that? I'll see you in Supreme Court. Well, and also he tweets out that the Ninth Circuit Court has a terrible record, close to 80% of being overruled. I actually think it might be higher than that when I last looked. So the Ninth Circuit Court is a complete joke. And then what happens? Trump gets verified in spades. 9-0 decision from the Supreme Court. So how do you like that? He told them, he said, fine, you want to block my travel ban? I'll see you in the Supreme Court. Took him to Supreme Court, won 9-0. So how do you like that, folks? And then, of course, you have Elizabeth Warren, who tweets this out. In a matchup between Donald Trump, Muslim ban, and the Constitution, my money's on the Constitution every time. The Ninth Circuit agrees. Again, if you could be more than 100% wrong, you would be Elizabeth Warren, but you can't be, so Elizabeth Warren is 100% wrong. Now, here's some screenshots. I went on Google and I screenshotted Supreme Court travel ban, Trump travel ban, just to see what the results would look like on Google. And folks, the Google censorship has really reached unprecedented proportions. They will not even put a conservative news outlet on their front page. And then all of the headlines that you see in the front fold of Google, all of the headlines are spin. All of the headlines are spun against Trump. None of them saying how Trump was constitutional when they said he was unconstitutional. They all have a spin saying, well, they allow limited versions. It's kind of a victory for Trump. Well, it might be a victory. Some things get to pass. And this is everything I searched. Trump Supreme Court, Supreme Court, Supreme Court travel ban, Trump travel ban. It was the same thing every time. Washington Post, CNN, New York Times, The Atlantic. No matter what, it was always left. It was always spin, never giving Trump the victory that he won in the Supreme Court. So I just wanted to point that out as just another angle of this story. Now, here's an unbelievable one. 5 years ago, Trump made a prediction on Twitter about housing, and he ended up being 100% right. So you got Keith Olbermann, Elizabeth Warren 100% wrong, then Donald Trump 100% right. He tweets this June 20th, 2012. Now is the time to buy housing before values have fully recovered in 5 years. Remember, I told you so. 5 years later, he's the president. And look at this graphic, folks. You know, there's rumors online Trump is a time traveler. Look at this graphic and tell me that Donald Trump wasn't 100% right. When he tweeted that day, the housing prices reached a low. Now, here we are 5 years later, just like he said, and the housing market has now reached a high. How do you like that? In every index, too, folks, you can go down and there's other graphics that illustrate that, too. So that, to me, was just amazing. Now, here's a video of Donald Trump calling CNN fake news. How about this video? These are classics.
It's a disgrace what took place. It's a disgrace. And I think they ought to apologize to start with, Michael Cohen.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
Here's crybaby Jim Acosta.
Go ahead. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state, Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
can you state categorically,
she's asking a question.
Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate.
Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit?
There he's back. Jim Acosta's back.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
He laughs at himself. He knows it's a joke.
Real news, Mr. President. Real news.
Real news, huh? Real news, Jim Acosta. Is that true? Real news? Let's fact check that. Of course, there were 3 CNN employees that just had to resign over a retracted Trump-Russia tie story where they tried to demonize Anthony Scaramucci as well as Donald Trump and create false Trump-Russia ties. They had to retract that story, and 3 CNN employees lost their job. But that pales in comparison to the video released by James O'Keefe where they have inside footage of CNN admitting their fake news, CNN admitting that they made up the whole Russian Trump thing narrative. It's all made up. It's all fake. All we do it for ratings. All we do it is for money. We're fake news. We don't care. So there you go, Jim Acosta. You said real news. You said Trump was inappropriate. You end up being fake news. You end up being inappropriate. I wonder if Jim Acosta will have anything to say about that. And I'd like to see CNN get the ban from the White House press corps. They complain all the time. Oh my gosh, they're putting us in the back row. Oh, how dare him. Well, how about he just kicks you out altogether because you're totally fake news. So there's the art of the presidency showing you how Donald Trump is playing 6D chess and winning with it. It's really actually incredible. Now, here's the victories. I want to go down all the victories that Donald Trump is having because this is key for the United States of America and making America great again. Trump executive order pulls out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. That is a victory in spades. Trump did it almost immediately. That is going to help the fair trade return to this country. Donald Trump pulls out of the Paris Accord in crushing blow to climate fight. Climate fight, because Huffington Post wants to fight the climate, folks. So again, though, Trump pulls us out of the Paris Accord. Huge deal, saves us money. Border apprehensions up 33% over last year. So he's getting a strong border. He's following law. He's allowing border enforcement to do their job. MS-13 arrests. Dozens of suspected gang members captured in Los Angeles raid. That's just one story. Hundreds of MS-13 gang members have been arrested since Trump took office. Obama let them into this country knowingly. Trump got a clear victory for national security with his travel ban, and the Supreme Court upholds him 9-0. He also added Neil Gorsuch to that Supreme Court. That's great. How about all of the pedogate arrests? Here's one. 2 arrested, 3 teenage girls. You got another one. Hundreds of arrests, 28 kids. How about the return of the coal industry? Coal mining begins seeing a revival. The EPA cuts. Trump hardest budget cuts to the EPA ever. Stock market closes at record as Tex leads Gage. You've had so many stock records, you can't even keep track of them all. He fired James Comey. He fired the FBI director. $50 billion coming in from Japan. Trump keeps winning.
We've taken thousands of years of known research and put it together with our own 4 years of seeking and testing to find the very best systems that God gave us through Mother Nature to detoxify the body. That's why I'm introducing Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWar. It is a classical 360 win. Our formula at InfoWarsLife.com is, quite frankly, simple. We go out and look at the recognized research, and we take it to the next level of quality, of purity, and of strength. Because this is what I personally use for myself and my family. We've gone through 5 or 6 different permutations in the last 4 years since we launched InfoWars Life to actually come up with this. This is the formula that I personally have been taking for over a year, and now we believe we have come as close to perfection when it comes to a detoxifier as you can possibly get. If you're not mitigating the pesticides, the heavy metals, the chemicals, if you're not trying to purify your water, if you're not trying to take products like Z-Shield that are full of known concentrated compounds that help purify our cells and our bodies, you're crazy. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to the future of this country and the world that patriots stay as healthy and as clean and as focused as you can be, because we need you, the remnant of America, to reignite those brush fires to the next level and to be healthy and as focused as you can be. Because if you're sick, if you're over there on the sidelines and not in the fight, you're basically giving in to the New World Order. Thanks to your support and your prayers, together, we're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLife.com.